Hi everyone, my name is Juan Alcaraz. Today I want to talk about a contest organized by Talent House about SpaceJam and the upcoming movie. So this was an event I have participated and finished my project just today. So I want to share more or less which was my workflow to accomplish a couple of entries I did for this project. So first, let me show you the entries for example, I present for this contest. So all you can see here, everything was done by myself, else than the logo that was provided by the contest organizers. So like you can see here, I have the landscape version. This one is a portrait, and the other ones are a portrait. This one was the first version I did. This was the first composite I've created. The second one, like you can see here, is a portrait version of the landscape, and this is another one that is more, I think it's more crowded of elements, more visual elements, more bright elements. So yeah, I have multiple versions, just depicted the same object in the same pose, but from different camera angles. So yeah, I want to talk about a little bit how I did it. So let's start with the modeling. The first thing was that all this character was modeled using Zbrush. Like you can see here, I have created this object in Zbrush, and I started from a sphere, and I was just starting to create multiple elements. Adding cylinders, adding different geometries, creating a blockout. Like you can see here, this is a completely Sculptis Pro version of the model. Like you can see here, the mesh is a real mesh. It's a mesh with a lot of different topology elements, because yeah, I was trying to work as a clay object. Like you can see here, there's a bunch of objects. All these polygroups you can see here was created because I was just adding different types of geometry. I was adding a cylinder, and then I merge it and use this Sculptis Pro to polish and to mix all those things. And when I finished with the anatomy, what I did was just using this object and use the zero mesh to create a clean topology. So I tried to create a clean topology. My main goal of this project was not to do a 100% clean mesh, because I was not going to animate or do something like this, but at least I want to have a clean topology to work easily and be able to maybe make some changes. So like you can see here, I have some edge loops that for the main parts of the face and things like that. So in the end, this mesh works good enough for me. When I have this done, the other thing I did was just create the UV. So using this C plugin, using this UV master, what I did was just to create a basic UV layout for all the parts of the model. So I did everything the same workflow for this, the shirt, the shorts, and all those parts. Everything was created using this Sculptis Pro to create the shapes, and then zero mesh it, and finally create a basic UV layout from this UV master. And when I have all this done, I exported the FBX, and I exported to this site. This site is really amazing. This is Mixamo. I don't know if you guys know it, but Mixamo allowed me to import the character and rig it. Yeah, like you can see here, this is the character I've exported from Zbrush. Yeah, I have a problem with the origin. It's below the floor. But yeah, in the end, Mixamo allow me to rig it easily using just a couple of points. Right now I have the character, like you can see here, and I can validate if the animations were created correctly. So this is the cool thing about Mixamo. Like you can see here, I was able to rig the character and validate if the character was performing as expected. So when I have this rig created basically, and without just a couple of clicks, because it was just a couple of clicks to create this rig, the thing what I did was just move the model into a 3ds Max. This was because, yeah, for me it was easier to work in 3ds Max because I have experience working with it. So here in 3ds Max I was able to pose the character. Like you can see here, I just try to pose the character in the way I want. I create a couple of basic geometries to replicate what I want. And for all those things, I was just using some reference. I was using some photo reference, trying to capture the pose. And like you can see here, the model that comes from Mixamo includes these bone systems. So this bone system allow me just to rotate and see how things looks in the character. Right now, yeah, it's completely static because, yeah, I saved the pose and I exported the pose once again. But before going to the pose version, I want to show you what I have here before posing. While I was working in the pose, I also was working into the textures. So like you can see here, the same model I have exported to Mixamo, the same as FBX, I had exported to or use it into Substance Painter. So I'm using the same FBX that I have exported from Zbrush. I loaded to Mixamo and also I loaded to Substance Painter. Like you can see here, yeah, I create all the texture. Everything is quite straightforward here. I mean, all of those textures are just masks, are just basic colors with different masks to create, for example, the tattoos and things like that. So yeah, it was quite straightforward, and this could be painted on any other software in Blender, for example. But because, yeah, I'm not using any fancy materials or thing like that, it just, yeah, it includes some sort of, yeah, bump or normal maps or anything like that. But yeah, in overall it was just flat colors and that's all. So now I have my character texture, I have my character pose, and there comes the decision to make the renders. My first idea was to render everything here inside 3ds Max, but then I realized that I don't want to spend that much time doing the rendering and doing the setup in a ray trace renderer. So that's why I jumped to Blender, and this is where things start to working in a completely different way. Because, yeah, like you can see here, I am working in real time. I am working extremely fast in Blender because I am able to make small changes, make all the adjustment I want. So what you can see here, I have exported all the texture from Substance Painter and the pose exactly from 3ds Max and all those things. So I just focus in the lighting, and this is where Blender becomes really easy, because like you can see here, I can work with all these objects, and everything I do is real time. I mean, I can adjust like you can see here, I can adjust the lights. Right now I have a brighter object, yeah, in this area. I will just delete it to avoid all these brightness into the scene. And you can see here I have a volume fog that gives me this effect. Like you can see here, I can see behind this volume fog, and I have all these things. I have the lights. Let me delete all these objects just to make it easier. So like you can see here, I have the model in Blender, and here I was able to just put the lights and start playing around with them, because this is really interesting. And here, for example, here is the render. Here I have this viewport with the render, with the camera layout, with the camera up in the position. So I was able to start lighting and adjusting the position of the lights and make all the adjustment I want accordingly to the angle I really want for the final render, and I can see everything in real time. So yeah, like you can see here in Blender, I was able to I was able to do almost everything related to lighting, and also related to the shaders. Just in case I want to make some small adjustments, I can just make all the adjustment here. So yeah, finally, when I have, like you can see here, this is more or less exactly what you will see in the final render. So what I get from Blender compared to what I get or the final piece you can see here, yeah, it's almost the same. From this image you can see here to the final image you can see in this window. Yeah, the only adjustments I did was just include some special effects just to improve the quality, because right now, like you can see here, this sphere, this basketball ball, yeah, doesn't have enough, yeah, enough strength, and so that's why I create or use just some affinity. I was using Affinity just to use some, yeah, PNG images to create these visual effects, improve maybe the glow. I add some sort of, yeah, lens and flare effects, and those were the only things I did in Composite and in Affinity Photo, because everything else, yeah, was captured directly from the Blender file. So okay, this is it. I think this was more or less in a, yeah, a short explanation of which was my workflow, and I hope you like it, and I hope you appreciate the final result, because yeah, it was a really fun project. So okay, this is it.